record. Hi, everybody. Could you guys thumbs up if you could hear me and see me? Okay. So just like a thumbs up or a heart, or you could put yourself on screen for 2 seconds. But I always genuinely worry. Thank you very much. I always thank you, Lorena. I never know who could see me, who can't. So I never want to leave you guys stranded. But guys, happy St. Patty's Day. What the heck are we doing? Who is not having corned beef and cabbage today? Please throw it in the chat. This is critical information. This will make or break this class. All I know is genuinely, I can't find corned beef. I've been looking since Saturday, so I don't know. I think my family is going to be a little bit disappointed, but you know what? It's just the way it is. That's just what's going to happen. But I am so excited that you guys are here with me today and that we get to talk all about getting you kind of registry ready. So in the chat right now, if you can, I want to know how many weeks you guys are and if you know what you're having. And I would also love to know where you live. So are you in the US? Are you in Brazil? Are you in the UK? So right now in the chat, if you guys could just take 2 seconds and just tell me, say, hey, Nat, I am 14 weeks pregnant, expecting boy-girl twins, and I am in New York City. Well, that's what I would say, although my 20s are now 20. So I will tell you more about that in a minute. But yeah, if you guys could just give me a heads up, because I always do want to know where we are in our planning. Hi, Danielle, only 9 weeks. Yay, brand new. Anna Banana, 24 weeks in Texas. Got it. Carla, 16 weeks and 2 days. You got to count those 2 days. It does actually really matter. Oh, perfect. Look, see, we have people from everywhere. We got some Jersey, North Carolina, Toronto. Fantastic. Oh, I'm so stoked that you guys are here. I'm also going to give you a heads up to make sure, I'm sure you all are already following us on Instagram, but in case you are not, just know that we have a big baby show that's coming up in May. And when we go, so me and the Twiniversity team will go, we'll always look for new twin products. So always make sure that you are following Instagram, because that's where we're going to have fresh information. So, and you guys really will be able to get that. Lorraine, are you in Rome or Rome, New York? Because that's two different Romes. I'm going to hope Rome, because that is really great. But if you look, see, there you go. Know that it is no different whether you are having twins here in the US or abroad. It doesn't matter. We are all in this together. And I genuinely say it's the same. You guys got the same boobs. If we're breastfeeding, we might have a little bit of a different hospital experience. But as far as gear goes, any gear that we talk about should be internationally available. If for some reason it isn't, you just let us know and we'll try to figure out how to get it over to you guys. But I'm really excited that you're here with me today, and I want to jump right in. Yay! Okay. So these are the things that you're going to need today. Amanda, there you are. Look how pretty she looks. Guys, that's Amanda from Twiniversity. She's going to be kind of like not my sidekick, my right hand, genuinely, because she could see more stuff on the chat than I can. But you want to definitely grab some water. My water is actually on empty, and I'm praying that a family member comes into this room to refill my water for me, but probably they won't. You definitely want to have a pen and a paper. And if you are not viewing this on your phone, you're going to want to have your phone, because we're going to have some QR codes to just make things a little bit easier for you. If for some reason the QR codes don't work or whatever, you just let us know, and we'll always try to get you any kind of link that we can. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off by playing a little game, and that's it. I want you to tell me, out of all of these icons, which one of these things, which ones, plural, which the ones is, I guess, is that the right English language? It sounds weird. So which of these am I? So look over here. Tell me what you see, and in the chat put like, I know Nat from her blah, blah, blah. What are those things? I always find it very fascinating of how you guys describe me. My family doesn't even know how to describe me, by the way, because some people would say, oh, she does this, or I don't know what I do. All I know is I wake up every day to make sure that you guys have a better experience than Amanda and I and the rest of the Twiniversity team do. So that is what I do. So yeah, so thank you so much for playing my little reindeer games. And as the little chats are coming up, I'm going to let you know that I am these things. I am a public speaker. Danny, you just made my day. I am a public speaker. I am an author. I am a huge advocate. I'm a car seat safety professional. I am an educator. I'm a twin mom. I'm a lactation professional. I'm a podcaster. But all that I know is my family will only know me as the mother that did not make corned beef on St. Patrick's Day. That will be a new title that I will be obtaining later. Amanda, you too. Danny, are you making corned beef today? That's it. Yeah, I can't find any. So I made it last week when I saw it and I bought one. So we had last week corned beef, but whatever. My family's going to be so mad. But I did find rye bread. So we'll try. We'll try our best. It is just an unusual holiday, I got to say. All right, guys. So this is what I want to start out with first. I want to give you like a timeline of when things should get done. So clearly also know that anything that I say during today's class, that literally my word is not law. I'm going to give you tips and I'm going to give you some guidance, but you guys, it's going to be your job to figure out how this filters into your universe. So the first thing is you do want to start doing some homework and you want to do it early on because as you progress in your pregnancy, I always say that we never know what's going to happen. Right? Like, even if you end up on bed rest or you're going to have to go to the doctor a few times a week, like the earlier that you could do things without committing to anything, the better. So always start your homework as early as you can. And that's why, like, we never get upset. Like for Danielle, that's 9 weeks in Washington State, and we got some other 15 weekers. Like, technically, people might say, oh, it's too early to do these things. But you know what? It's your timeline, boo. You do whatever you want when you feel comfortable and when you actually have the time. If you start too late, you're going to rush through things and you may miss some stuff. So you want to start your homework at week 12 for all of those. Here, I think Carrie's the only one that's around that time. But if you are further progressed in your pregnancy, don't get stressed. It's only too late if you don't start now. Right? So don't get overwhelmed by anything. As I tell my kids, how would you eat an elephant? Bite by bite. So just bite it off a little bit at a time and you're going to be okay. So by week 18, excuse me, you want to start signing up for your accounts, be it your Amazon registry, your baby list registry, or your My Registry. We have always been big fans of My Registry just because it's been a lot simpler and because we really like that little icon that goes at the top of Safari or Chrome or whatever browser you're using. But you want to start getting that lined up around that time. So as you're building, you could fill it in one home base. So what if you guys don't know what My Registry is that they are kind of like a conglomerate that puts all of your registries under one roof. So instead of you having to make a change on your Walmart or your Target or your Amazon, you could just make one universal change. And for twin moms, we just find like, just make it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid, as they say, KISS, like always remember. So they make this so simple for us. Now, in week 19 is when you start doing your actual building. So there's plenty of lists out there that say, okay, you need to have 2 car seats. You need to have a double stroller. You need to have whatever. Start looking at that and then figure out what you actually need versus things that you actually want. Dum, dum, dum. Do you see what I just did there? I'm trying to save you guys some money because I will tell you, when you get to the college years, there are no BOGO specials. I actually asked. So when my kids were entering college, I'm like, hey, any chance you'll take 2 for 1 college tuition? Nobody said yes to this. I was very disappointed. I wanted to start a new trend, but nobody gave 1 crap about it. So yeah, so I wasn't able to do that. So the more money that you guys spend now, the less money you'll have to put in the bank or to invest or do whatever, and you're going to lose money for college. Okay. Yes. Double maternity leave totally would be something. Actually, double paternity leave, we actually have been able to get some dads double paternity leave because one of the weird benefits of having twinnies is each partner could declare themselves the primary parent of that child. Ta-da! So yeah, so there's a few loopholes and there's plenty of stuff on our Twiniversity website about figuring that out. But just know that if there was a way or a loophole, we kind of found it in the past 15 years. We're still looking on a regular basis. So you do want to start building that registry at week 19, but you don't want to really tell anybody till about week 24. Now, if you want to share it with your friends and be like, hey, take a look at this, see what I'm missing. Do I have enough swaddle blankets? Did I choose the right pacifiers? Whatever, you could share it. But I would not really start telling the world about it until you were really set on the items that you want on your registry. Because we have found that some twin families will build it early, they'll advertise it early, and they'll change their minds about it. And then they didn't get the products that they actually wanted. And they ended up having to exchange stuff because Aunt Pam from Tuscaloosa bought that stroller that she didn't know about this other stroller. And now Aunt Pam already bought it. So what the heck are we going to do? Okay. So you want to be very modest about sending it out into the universe, but you don't want to be modest when it comes to creation. Okay. All right. Now, let's get into this. If you guys have not already, we have a whole twin ready gear guide. And so in this is everything from information about car seats to, I probably have one. Please hold. I just reorganized my office. So I don't actually know what it is because I had it there yesterday. This is called Transition and Moving. Amanda, how do you like my new office? You haven't seen it yet. Yes, this is where I'm going to live now, guys. This is my daughter's childhood bedroom, but she's an old bat now. So we threw her out and now I got an office in my apartment. Not too shabby. So yes, we have our twin ready gear guide. Say that 10 times fast. So if you have not grabbed it, feel free. Amanda, could you throw up the link for me, please? That's in there so they could have that. Now, this is what it's going to look like. So we created some registry lists for you. And what we did is we have coded it. And of course, once again, our word is not law, but we have separated it into sections. So it's something that it's nice to have, something that you could totally borrow if you can, something totally you should skip, or it could potentially be covered by insurance. What? Yes. So there are a lot of different ways that you could get items. So if it's something that could be covered by insurance, don't put it on your registry. We don't want somebody else spending money on something that you're going to get covered by your insurance, right? And if it's nice to have, we're just basically saying like, it's handy to have, but it's not really essential. Okay. So we have this up right here, and I'm just trying to remember, do we talk about a budget? Like, is that going to be on the next slide? Now I'm getting nervous. Now I'm like, oh my God, do I have a budgetary slide? So let's talk about a budget for a second. Whenever you're buying a house or you're buying a car or anything that you're purchasing, we typically create a budget, right? When it comes to having a family, sometimes people may have like a big overarching, like we can't spend more than $75 million per child, which is what it actually feels like that we're spending. But I encourage you guys to create a baby budget right now. If you haven't attended any of like our finance planning or any of those webinars, just know that we have those for you guys too. But you really should, everybody should have an idea of how much you could spend so that when Aunt Pam is not able to get you every single thing that you wanted on your baby registry, that at least you knew exactly how much you had to spend, et cetera, et cetera. So has anybody done this before? If you have, I'd be really curious. You don't have to tell us how much your budget is, but I would really be curious to know if you've even thought about creating a budget. Because we really don't. We just get pregnant. We get so excited. Everything is happening in a wonderful way. We don't think how much money are we actually going to spend. And this is the time that I really need you guys to think about that. Okay. So could you spend $500? Could you spend $5,000, right? Everybody's budgets are going to be different. And so have an idea and put that money aside now, or put it in a separate checking account, or put it into a separate savings account. And if you need it, it's there. And if you don't need it, because everybody was so super duper generous, we don't need it. But I really want us to be mindful, and I don't want us to recklessly spend to the point that we're going into debt over stuff. Okay. So we're going to talk about like the essential stuff, but keep in mind, there's a little gnat in my room and it's not just me, but keep in mind that like my mother slept in a drawer. Clearly not really a safety thing that we would do right now, but there is stuff that we need and stuff that we want. And so I want to make sure that the stuff that we need, we're still going to have some money to spend on that in case our family or friends or coworkers or whatever doesn't get us anything. Okay. All right. So we're going to have that. So nobody created a budget. Literally, you guys are cricket town. What are you guys? You realize that this is a live class, right? And then you could have just watched this on YouTube if you didn't feel like participating and do it later. But I won't make you feel bad about it. I have Danny and Amanda, and that makes me happy today. So I will take what I could get. But I always think, regardless of whether you guys interact or not, just know that it really is something that you guys should really consider. Okay. All right. So we're going to jump into here. So we talked about this already. Now, this is something we have been working with my registry for a while now. And honestly, it's genuinely because we want things to be easier for you. I must have met them 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when they were just starting out. And we have just noticed that they have gotten better and better. So the difference between them and some of the other companies is their lists aren't just for baby. We found that their lists for twins' birthdays were also really, really helpful. I believe that they have a registry as well for like weddings and stuff like that. But it's so flawless the way that you could integrate items very, very simply. So there's just a little icon that you'll see, and you could scan that right now, by the way, if you want to at least get the website for that. But there's this little icon that goes at the top of the page, and any item that is available for purchase on the interwebs can be added to your My Registry. That also means if you want to add a Twiniversity class, you could actually add a Twiniversity class under your My Registry. We have not found that with any other company. So of course, we're a little partial because we want you guys to take the classes. And we also know that it may be out of budget for some people, but this would be a very, very, very worthwhile expense if your family wanted to chip in and buy like the baby safety class, let's say, hypothetically, or whatever that we had. So always know that any item online, this one specifically, I believe we went to the Kirkland website and we were able to add diapers. It was just really great and really super duper simple. So if you're getting my vote, I would 100% look at My Registry, but we'll talk about it a little bit more. But for us, I just love the simplicity of this whole thing. So like I said, it is the way, excuse me, that you link all your registries under one umbrella. So if you want to get your cribs from Pottery Barn, but you want to stock up on diapers from Target, and that you want a changing table from Crate and Barrel Kids, but then the majority of your little like hangers and accoutrements, if you will, are on Amazon, this is the way to do this. And they also work with at home. Guys, why did nobody tell me about at home? Has anybody like I feel like the world has been keeping this store a secret. So it's like if Home Goods had a baby with like a big retailer. So it's like they have specialty items, but there's a million of them. I just went to one in Queens, New York, and I didn't want to leave. I actually want to live in one of those giant papasan chairs, which I had never sat in, which, by the way, I did sit in and pretty much had to spill myself out of the chair because I cannot actually get out of the chair. But I love that they had so many great accessories and they had beautiful pictures for the walls. They had a lot of nursery stuff. They had throw blankets, but that's just one of the stores that doesn't necessarily have a registry of their own, but we could add any item from there at My Registry. So it really does make the whole process very, very simple. So now let's talk about when we start building, what we are actually going to start building. All right. So the items that you need, the basics, the things that we are not getting away from. Clearly, we need diapers. Now, what type of diapers? Do you want to do conventional diapers? Do you want to do cloth diapers? That's a whole other discussion that we could have, which I will happily discuss it. Many twin families opt to do kind of a hybrid between cloth and conventional just because it is so expensive to do 100% conventional diapers, right? And if you go with like a little bougier brand, you're looking at maybe anywhere between 25 cents to 60 cents per diaper. And if we're looking at about 150 plus a week, that adds up really fast. So if you would consider it, if you have a washer dryer in your home, I have some literally right here because I was just talking to a mama this morning. There's plenty of people that do hybrid diapering where they do 50% of the time they do cloth diapers and 50% of the time they do disposable diapers. So we got that. The next thing that I want to, and by the way, there is no one diaper that's the best. I kind of defer to Pampers for the size newborn, and then after size 1, just whatever's going to be most cost effective for you. But don't feel that you have to stay brand loyal to anything. I certainly would never, ever, ever sign up for a diaper subscription. While I understand that the ease of that is very convenient, you have to be kind of careful because you could get locked in to a term that you did not know you were getting locked into. So before you sign up for a diaper subscription service, really please make sure that you are reading the fine print. Okay. Okay. Now, what's our thought on? I have no like Pampers or Huggies. I would go with the big guy for a size newborn. I like the Pampers for newborns. I find that they're very soft and the little line on it is very, very sensitive. And we have to remember that when our babies are first born, their stomachs are about the size of a walnut. They're really tiny. So how much pee-pee are they actually going to have? Whereas they get bigger and bigger, of course, we need a diaper that has better absorbency. But for now, what you're really looking at is, if we're really looking at diapers, is you're looking at this gusset situation. So you want to make sure that you're getting a diaper, which both are good for Huggies or Pampers. You want to make sure that you're getting like a legit hardcore good diaper. If you're going to go with the cloth diaper, then I would, this is, Kanga Care, is that it? Yes, Kanga Care is what we're looking at. And they're the ones that have the patent on the double gusset. So that's like my big jam. And the funny thing is it actually has the patent number on every single one of the diapers, which is a gentle reminder. But they do have twin packs that are on their site. So, and it's literally things that we put together because Chad and his wife literally said, what would you put in a cloth diaper? We put it there. And you could add that to your My Registry if you wanted to do that. Okay. So diapers are one thing, but baby wipes are a whole other. So people ask me all the time, what baby wipe do you want to use? Do we have to worry about the chemicals? How many chemicals are in there? Guys, that's entirely up to you, right? If you are like, we are a super duper organic family, you could just use a piece of cloth with some water on it. You don't actually have to use disposable wipes if you do not have to. Everybody is different, whatever works best. I think that the Amazon Sensitive are really good. I like the Pampers Pure. I like the Parents' Choice from Walmart. There really hasn't been a baby wipe that I don't love, except in all sincerity, I don't love water wipes that much because they're a little too damp. And so when you're using a baby wipe, which this is all covered, by the way, in our expecting class of how to diaper and why wipes matter, but you want a wipe that's damp enough that's going to take off the poopers, but you don't want it to be so wet that it's leaving an excessive amount of moisture on their skin. Okay, so we got to find kind of like this hybrid wipe. So if you do end up getting a few cases of water wipes, then just leave the top open to let them dry out a tiny bit before you start using them. Because if your wipe is so wet that you could squeeze it and water comes out, it's way too wet. All right. And then conversely, if they dry too much, because now we went to the other side, you could also add just a little bit of water in there. I would not buy preemie diapers. I would not add preemie diapers to the registry. I would start at a newborn. If you should have preemies and end up that they are significantly premature in the hospital, they're going to be getting the premature diapers from the hospital. And usually upon discharge, especially for twin families, they usually load us up with a bunch of supplies so that we don't have to worry about the preemie diapers. But they'll give you at least enough to know that a newborn's going to be too big. But even for my tiny, like 5-pounders, which when they came home, they were 5 pounds, the newborns were fine. We never stayed with the preemie diapers for long. Preemie's really good for like anywhere from the 2 to 4-pounders, but typically we don't get discharged at 4 pounds. So the newborn diapers are usually okay. All right. As far as a wipes warmer, this is what you will see. Okay. This is one of those items that's going to make our Twiniversity list that you do not need. You do not need, because not only is it's not necessary. Did you guys have a wipe warmer? Ask any of your mothers if you guys had a wipe warmer. I mean, I'm lucky if we had wipes, right? I feel like my mom probably just used some washcloths and just threw them in the washer. But as far as a wipe warmer, a totally unnecessary item that is all about marketing. You're going to use wipes that aren't warm when you're outside. When you're changing your babies on a restaurant changing table, do they have a wipe warmer? They don't. So I don't understand why this wipe warmer came to be. It's just one of those items that's not necessary. Leave it for the singleton world. Let them buy it. Let them feel better about their choices. But for twin families where I need to save myself some $50, absolutely not. Do not buy a wipe warmer. However, remember, my word is not law. So if you're like, I want my babies to have, warm coolies, then buy the freaking wipe warmer. I'm all for it. But personally, it is an unnecessary expense. Okay. Burp cloths, totally must have. You must have a million of them, especially if you're breastfeeding, because not only are burp cloths going to be really practical for actually burping, but they're also great for putting underneath the babies to kind of angle them into your body a little bit more. So burp cloths could be used for a lot more than just burping. When you're buying the burp cloths, by the way, I honestly have just been buying like the little pieces of cotton. I haven't been buying like the thick old school diapers. So you could get probably 24 for $10 if you play your cards right. So shop around on all of those things, but you definitely need burp cloths. You need pacifiers. Parents of twins use pacifiers more than parents of singletons because we literally have to freaking pacify a baby while attending to another baby. When it comes to which pacifiers, register for a variety of them. We don't know which pacifiers your babies are going to prefer, but whatever pacifiers you get, try to get the ones that have a little bulb at the end so that your babies actually have something to chomp onto and hold onto. Where if you look at like the Philips Advent ones necessarily that they're giving you like in the hospital, it's a straight cylinder. And as your babies get bigger, it gets a little bit more challenging for them to hold onto it. Okay. Receiving blankets, bibs, swaddle sacks, all items that you need to have on your registry. And also, if you know, when we put our Twiniversity registry together, we always add the number or the minimum number that you should have. So when it comes to things like burp cloths, like you need 12, like you're not going to have 12, by the way. You're probably going to have like 40, odds are. But when you're registering, we want to make sure that we have at least 12. So in general, I want you guys to use the number 3 as your guideline. Whenever you're buying something per 20, you need to have it in a set of 3. 1 in use, 1 in backup, 1 in the wash. So if you're going to buy crib sheets, if you're going to buy onesies, if you're going to buy caps, if you're going to buy mittens, if you're going to buy socks, whatever you buy, think at least a set of 3 per child, so that you always have 1 in use, 1 in backup, and 1 in the wash. And then that way, your day isn't as chaotic as it could be if you run out of supplies. Right now, the next thing that I really do want to talk about is, out of curiosity, how many of you guys have had conversations with your OBs about cord blood banking? And so now, Danny, I don't know if you know this, I am a very big advocate for cord blood banking, have been, because I am a family that would have used it. So anytime that and if you don't know who Danny is, like you should know who Danny is. So Amanda, you know who Danny is. You've met her in person for 2 seconds. But if you ever, anytime in our lives that we experience things that we're like, crap, I wish I would have known better, we make careers out of it sometimes, right? So Danny unfortunately had a very tumultuous past that led her to be an unbelievable advocate for humanity that she is now. And I'm trying to do the same with a lot less waves in my history. So my respect, Danny knows I bow down to her every single time. But when it comes to cord blood banking, I genuinely am somebody who would have used it. So what it is I'm going to flip our little screen because I think I have a screen about it right now, is that we have been partnering with CBR for well over 15 years since I found out that they existed. And I remember being at a Manhattan Twins Club meeting. It actually probably was closer to 18 years ago. And there was a woman there that was expecting her twins. She was a twin and she worked for CBR. I had no idea what CBR is. So what happens is when your babies are in utero, they're attached to the vending machine that is your placenta. Your placenta has the ability to change stem cells into whatever that particular baby needs in order to grow most effectively. Those stem cells could then be harvested after delivery. Of course, the stem cells that weren't used, that were just hanging out in your placenta, they could be cryopreserved, and God forbid, knock on wood, sometime down the line, You needed to have those stem cells. They're readily available to you because they are your biological match, because they are your literal stem cells. Now, not only could the children use your stem cells, but now, thanks to the 20 years of scientific history that we now know that moms, dads, grandmas, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, that many other people may be entitled to use these stem cells if you guys are a biological match. So why we work with CBR specifically is because they do not take the payment until they know they have a viable sample. And that is a deal breaker to me, because we have seen many companies, including one that is actually owned by twin parents, but they collect the fee up front and then you never actually know if you have enough. God forbid you should ever need those. So what CBR does is, I think it's $150 is what you end up paying just for the courier fee. But if they did not collect a big enough sample, it does not go into cryopreservation and you are never charged and there is no discussion, which is why we work with them over many others. They also have this program called the Newborn Possibilities Program, and it allows free cord blood banking if you have a history of certain family illnesses, because there is so much research that still needs to be done that they, as a company, which is Cooper is the name of the company, which is a ginormous medical company. But Cooper basically was like, hey, we want more data on people who bank that have these certain illnesses. This is the way to do this. So you potentially could have 100% free banking for your 20s. No questions asked. So definitely you want to look into that. But cord blood banking is something that you need to do while you are pregnant. And yes, it is something that you could add to your registry. So a lot of people are like, how am I going to be able to do this? Well, I'm not saying that I don't want you to have 75 cute little outfits that say cut and paste, or cute little outfits that say milk and cookies. But I am saying if there is something that down the line could potentially be a lifesaver for both you and your children, maybe just start looking into it. So we've noticed that post-COVID, doctors have stopped incorporating this conversation, and it's not because there is a lack of a need of it or a lack of opportunity to have it. It's just that a lot of medical stuff has changed and people have changed the way they do intakes and the way that they have conversations. So this is something that I want you guys to look up independently outside of Twiniversity whenever you have time. Look them up. You don't, of course, have to go with CBR, but look for anybody. Just don't throw your stem cells away, because what you guys don't know, if you have singletons already, you may say, well, I could donate my stem cells to my local blood bank. When it comes to twinnies, we are not allowed. For whatever reason, they will not accept twinnie cord blood donation or twinnie tissue donation in a public bank for whatever reason. So you could go to bethematch.org and you will clearly see that we are not eligible. I don't know why. I've been fighting with them about this for years, because if CBR could tell there's a viable transfer, I don't know why blood banks can't. So I just don't want you to throw something in the garbage that could be a potential game saver for you guys, right? So that is something that we could add to my registry. You definitely should look into it. Okay, now moving on. When it comes to rooms and when it comes to building your twins' nursery, there are things that you must have. I could sit here and have a whole conversation about where your twinnies should sleep, but that is a different conversation for a different day. Okay. So what we need is we need 2 cribs. Will they sleep in a crib, each of them? I don't actually know, but that's going to be up to you. That's a whole other conversation, like I said, but we need to have 2 of them. Now, when people are doing their space planning for what their room is going to look like, all right, I want you to realize that the cribs come in different sizes. There's standard cribs, and then there's mini cribs. Now, if you measure your room and you're like, oh, my room is so small, I could only have 2 mini cribs. Can you? I challenge you to see if you could fit 1 conventional size crib and 1 mini crib, because unless we're having an identicals, which most of us, and by the way, throw in the chat if you guys are having identicals or fraternals, just out of curiosity. So I had a wonderful conversation. I taped a podcast this morning with an identical mom, and now like I'm envious and I want identicals. Or maybe I don't. I don't know. That conversation could have went either way. You'll hear it when it comes up on this season of the podcast. But when it comes to your twinnies, If you're having fraternals, they're just two babies that were born on the same day. So you could have a giant baby and you could have a teeny tiny little baby, mini baby. So getting one conventional crib and one mini crib is definitely going to be something that you're going to want to look into. Now, with that, if you commit to one or the other, you're going to, of course, need the linens that go for one or the other. But please really just be mindful to just keep that set of three. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more about cribs in a second, which I think it is my next slide. Let me go to that. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Come on, little buddy. You could change. Yes. So here's what we're talking about. So we got our standard crib, we got our mini crib, and then you got your convertible crib. I do have a very strong opinion when it comes to cribs because I have noticed at all of these shows that we go to, right? Not just looking online, but you could basically buy a crib for under $100, or you could buy a crib for well over $10,000. And I am not pooping you. We have seen some ridiculous cribs at the baby shows that we go to. But I will tell you that nobody really is going to buy the $10,000 crib, maybe a Kardashian or 12, but whatever. For us, because we're having two, we want to try to keep the price point as low as possible, which is why I'm going to discourage you from looking at convertible cribs. What? Did I just say that? Yes, I did. When you're looking on Amazon or IKEA, exactly, Nadia, perfect, go for price first, go for safety first, and go for price second. What I'd rather you spend money on is the mattress. The mattress, if you buy a better quality mattress, you're only going to use your crib for a short amount of time. Now, think about this. Nadia, I know you just bought convertible cribs, and most cribs nowadays do convert. But when your babies are going from sleeping in their cribs to their big kid beds, if you just take the side off of a crib, you're not really selling them on this big kid business. You basically just took a side off a crib. If you were to go from a standard crib, get rid of the crib, and get a toddler bed, now we've sold them on the feature that they are big kids. They're going to make these decisions. The only thing that's going to stay with you during that transition is the mattress. When you convert from a crib to a regular toddler bed, and when the twinnies feel like they had a choice, right? You sit down with them and you're like, all right, puppies, what do you want? A Bubble Guppy bed, an Elmo bed, a Dora bed, like whatever the hot item is at that time. If they have a say in what their sleeping situation is going to be like, they're much more likely to stay in that bed versus just taking off the side of the crib and saying, you're a big kid now. Good luck, Knuckles, right? So in general, try to spend less money on a standard crib, but be mindful of the heights of the cribs. I think that's going to be my next one. I have it open here. Boom, boom, boom. No. So when you are buying your crib, if you notice, if you look at the bottom, you see the convertible crib. There's different heights that mattresses can be. Sometimes if you buy the cheapest mattress, it only has one height. One height is fine if you are a 6-foot Amazon like myself, and I could easily reach into the bottom, the lowest portion of the crib. But if you are on the tinier side of the world, you may not be able to easily reach into the crib to where the twinnies are sleeping. So when you're buying a crib, you really should look for a crib that does have the different heights of your mattresses so that you don't have to bend as much, especially if you had a C-section. If you have a C-section where you're bending in might be right by where your incision is going to be, and that is not going to be comfortable, okay? When it comes to using a bassinet before a crib, 100% totally in. Yes, 1,000,000%. As far as which bassinets, you could look at like the Baby Trend Nursery Center, which is like the Twins Nursery Center, which has 2 independent bassinets, which are not only could they stay in the nursery center, but they're movable throughout your house. So there's a few companies out there. Baby Trend is one of them, actually, that makes a lot of great twin products that it just makes our life easier. And they're always really open to any feedback that we have. So if you guys are currently using any of their products and you guys want to give us feedback to bring back to them in May, you know that me and Amanda will totally do that. But when it comes to using a bassinet, especially because it's so much smaller, like a Twins Nursery Center could easily fit in a bedroom right next to your bed, and then you could keep the cribs where the cribs have to be. But remember, guys, you don't even have to have the cribs together when the twinnies come home if they're going to go right into a bassinet. What's the rush? Put the cribs together later. Or if you have help now, obviously take the help when it's available. But I mean, I will also tell you, my kids never slept in a bassinet because my apartment is 650 square feet. So I basically could smell my kids from wherever I was in my entire apartment. It was very, very simple. So my kids just basically came home from the hospital and went right into their regular big crib. Or if they were with me in the living room, they might have been in like a bouncer or some kind of feeding chair. But we opted out of that. And I didn't realize what a big cost savings that's going to be. But a bassinet also, for the record, is something that you can get secondhand. You just buy all new sheets for it and stuff like that. So when it comes to things to buy secondhand, that's a good one. For cribs and car seats and crib mattresses, I would always buy new. Because with cribs, there have been so many recalls that I would not jeopardize not having something new. Also, if you bought something on Facebook Marketplace, like I need to know that that screw for that crib is the correct screw. So it's just a safety issue. And I get a little neurotic when it comes to twins and sleep, obviously, hence my twin sleep book. But just know that for realsies, you like cribs, crib mattresses, and car seats pretty much are the only three things that I think you need new. Everything else you could get secondhand. Okay. Obviously diapers and all that stuff. You guys know that, but whatever. That goes without saying. Okie dokie. All right, guys. It is time to play a game. Are you ready? All right. So here we go. This is going to be our game, and it is going to be for, what do we want to do? Let's do a cup of coffee. We're going to do a $5 Starbucks gift card or Dunkin' or whatever, or from my Rome families and my families out of the country. We'll just send you something else. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. But the game is, are you ready? Let me go to my next slide and make sure. Good, because I had to make sure that the answer wasn't on there. Here it is. How much will you spend on diapers until your twinnies are fully potty trained? Please put that in the answers now. Let's see. Do I have, here we go. Could you hear my game show music? I think I may have to turn it up. Here's my game show music. There it is. How much will you spend to diaper your twinnies until they are fully potty trained? Amanda, do you remember our number? I do. Okay, Amanda, I'm texting you our number. I'm texting it to Amanda first. Okay, so that, and by the way, my dog is trying to say hi to everybody. But I text Amanda the number. And so you're guessing, we got Danny at 2,800. Danny, I don't know where you're going, living in your life. Latrice, you're getting closer, by the way. Nadia, Lorena, is that, what money is that? Is that euros or is that American money? Because I don't know if I could do the conversion. Amanda, this is going to be my new problem of working in my apartment, is Betty Lou Magoo is going to try to have a say. Betty, you are wrong. That is not the right answer, guys. So, Amanda, you might want to unmute yourself when speaking. I hear that it's recommended entirely. I don't know.
Oh, I wasn't muted the entire time. Sorry.
Wait.
Harvey's now barking because he heard Betty. So this is a fun game.
Because my microphone is still hooked up. I'm still in podcast town. Okay. Hold on. Okay, now I could hear you.
Oh, I said Harvey's now barking because he could hear Betty. So this
That's
is a fun game we have going, from coast to coast.
Guys, this girl, my dog is going to be 11 and she's going blind. And so she just barks at shadows now. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this poor girl, but she's my baby boo. Okay. So the winning number is Amanda, who got closest. I see who got closest. I'm picking it. Catherine, you are the closest. So it came out to $74.50. And that is diapers, wipes, swim diapers, overnight diapers, anything that and by the way, we did not go crazy with that number. Like, we were trying to be pretty modest with the number that we were choosing. So when we calculated this was from the prices from January, but it came out to $74.50. So it is really expensive. Congratulations, it's Catherine. Reach out to Amanda and just let her know we need your email address so that we could send that little gift card to you guys. But yeah, I love to have some fun games because we can't all be serious all the time. You know what I'm saying, kids? All right, but Danny, you got to brush up on that. Come on now. That was an embarrassment in number. So yeah, no, thank you. All right, kiddos. So now let's talk about feeding stuff. Now, this is where some of the stuff could be covered by insurance. So it is important that we know that. So when it comes to using your double electric pump, just know that that will be covered by insurance. Not only is your pump covered by insurance, but any accessories that go with your pump. So if you need additional flange sizes, that's going to be covered. If you need breast milk bags, that's covered. If you need new tubing, that's covered. They don't cover breast pads and they don't cover nipple shields. So those are things that they won't cover. But here's the best part about having twinnies, right? When you're having twinnies, you have to check with your insurance company. Do they cover a pump per pregnancy or cover a pump per live birth? Because if it's going to be per live birth, if that's the vernacular that's used in your insurance company, then you're going to be eligible for 2 breast pumps. Hi, why would we not take those, right? So get your 2 breast pumps and know that that's going to be 100% covered by insurance. The next thing is lactation support. You should have lactation support covered by your insurance. You definitely want to get that lined up before your twinnies get here. You definitely want to work with either an IBCLC or a twin specific CLC. The letters actually really do matter. The IBCLC basically just means that it's like your master, that you have a master's in boobs. That's what my kids call it. But working with somebody that has both clinical and practical experience really is important when working with multiples because we don't have time to waste. So here in the city, just on Friday, I just had another family that had their twinnies. I went uptown to the hospital because although you do have lactation support in the hospital, I will tell you odds are it's probably not going to be adequate enough because hospital IBCLCs are so overworked. They typically get anywhere from really 10 minutes to 20 minutes max per patient. So you're not going to get a lot of stuff covered then. So always having somebody independently lined up. And remember, we have our Twiniversity boob camp. We have an entire Twiniversity breastfeeding class. So know that when I'm very serious about boobs and about breastfeeding, and it has nothing to do with the importance of breast and breast is best. I am not that kind of IBCLC. I am more like you will save thousands of dollars if you do not have to pay for formula. Your chances of breast cancer go down significantly for breastfeeding, ovarian cancer. Your babies have less incidences of allergies and asthma and a million GI issues. So when it comes to breast milk, I'm fine with formula. I'm fine with doing hybrid, but you want to find somebody that's going to go along with what your beliefs are. If you're somebody that's like, don't preach to me about the importance of breast milk, then you want to find an IBCLC like me. That's totally fine with talking about formula because I do not know what's going to happen after delivery, right? Fed is best, 100%, first and foremost. But I don't want you to be gypped out of an experience that you might have had otherwise if you were having a singleton, right? So typically you get at least 6 visits covered by insurance. However, my insurance said they only cover, that's not legal, by the way, Kimberly. In the United States, they have to cover lactation visits outside of the hospital. So Kimberly, if you tell me what insurance company that you're with or you want to message me privately, I will happily fight with you guys because I am absolutely sick of insurance companies telling you one thing when we know legally what they have to provide. If you ever want to quote them, you could go to breastfeeding, like you go to healthcare.org and you just put in the word breastfeeding and it'll show you what the United States, what's mandatory for private insurance companies and marketplace insurance companies, what they have to cover here. So absolutely they cannot. Ashley, would I recommend getting 2 different brands? Not necessarily. I wouldn't get a wearable, by the way. Like I can't say this enough. Do not freaking get a wearable pump. Absolutely not. No way. Jose, no thank you. Do not spend your money on a wearable pump. Get that on Facebook Marketplace and sanitize everything if you can. Honestly, I would leave all of those in a trash heap. They are not, it's like if I told you we were going on a car ride, right? And so we were going to go on a 3-hour road trip. And I said, hey, you could take this car, your nice little SUV with heated seats, or we could get on a Vespa. Which one are you going to want to go on for a 3-hour car ride? The wearable pumps or the Vespa? So yes, we can get someplace in the amount of time, but we're not going to be as efficient. And when it comes to Twinnies, time is of the essence. We can't mess around. And once we build up our supply, don't let that poop go. Like, we got to be pretty serious about it. So I would get, maybe I would get like the Medela Freestyle, and I would get a Spectra S1 or S2. So see what your insurance covers. Those are always some of my favorites, but those are like the SUVs of lactation. Like, I could get pretty much milk out of a stone with either of those pumps. So there's plenty on the market. And hopefully we're going to find a few more when we go to this show in May, and we'll see what's out there. But just know that you definitely want to make sure you line up your lactation support, take our Twiniversity breastfeeding class, and that is covered by insurance. So the thing is when you take your Twiniversity breastfeeding class, you ask us for a super bill. We'll give you a super bill. The difference of a super bill, it has all my licensure information on it, as well as procedure codes and diagnostic codes, all that garbage. And then your insurance should give you 100% reimbursement for our Twiniversity breastfeeding class, because, hey, we can, right? So the other things that we need to have is you really should consider getting a bottle washer, dryer, sterilizer. So the one that we really like is, we love the Baby Bretza one because it has a clean water tank and a dirty water tank. And depending on some of the other ones, like the bottle washers that are out there, you need to hook them up to a faucet and they have to be directly drained into the sink. But truthfully, we actually have quite a few families that, weirdly, not even kidding you, live in RVs. They don't have the space, or even a tiny New York City apartment. They don't have the space that could accommodate the wet, like the gray water or whatever they call that. So the Bretza specifically has a gray water tank and a fresh water tank. It washes easily, I think 6 bottles at a time, and you just keep those in rotation. So the thing is, as you may say, but Nat, those are expensive. They are expensive, but buying 25 bottles is also really expensive. So when you come to like where my money is going to be spent, that's something that you're going to have to want to think about, right? So a bottle washer dryer is definitely a great idea. But if you're not going to get something where you know that you're going to wash them throughout the day, then you're going to have to get 16 8-ounce bottles. I'm just telling you, that you're going to do 8 feeds a day at minimum in the beginning. And I don't want you guys to have to wash bottles midday by hand and sanitize by hand. And especially for preemies, it's a lot. So consider one of the washer dryer sterilizers, or getting a bunch of baby bottles, one or the other. You certainly don't need to do both. Now, if you know that you are open to bottle feeding, and you know that there's going to be a lot of times that either you or your partner are going to be alone, then you really should consider getting a feeding chair. Now, a feeding chair is something very different than using a bouncy seat, or using like the Twin Z as a feeding chair. Just know that there are specific feeding chairs that are out there. And so the one that I'm specifically talking about, hopefully this is the washer dryer sterilizer. So we were just talking about that. Hold on, I'm going to go here. Yep. So that's the washer dryer sterilizer that I was telling you guys about. And I've watched it. I will warn you, it is 88 freaking minutes to do the whole cycle. It drives me crazy, but it really is great. So it's so easy to put that together. And as far as bottles go, when it comes to bottles, I am very, very, very brand loyal. And I love Dr. Brown's, both as an IBCLC and as just a mom who used Dr. Brown's. And I'm going to show you why. I think I have one behind me, and I don't. But why is, if you look at the nipple on this Dr. Brown's bottle, right? And this is going to be just a regular breastfeeding, bottle feeding, if you're doing both. If you're combining breastfeeding and bottle feeding, so maybe your babies are at the tap 1 to 7 times a day, and maybe you're only bottle feeding once a day, you want to buy bottles that have nipples that could fill a triangle as much as possible. When your babies are latching at the breast, they need to open up their mouths as wide as possible. If you look at a bottle like the Philips Advent, I feel like I'm pooping all over them today between their pacifiers and the bottles, and I don't mean to, but I'm just saying, when you look at a Philips Advent bottle, it has a very tiny nipple at the end, like the edge of the bottle is very small, so the babies do not have to open their mouths very wide. When you're buying any bottle, if you buy something that's in the shape of a triangle, your babies have to open their mouths a little bit wider than even, the other one that I hate is Como Tomo. I honestly just want to bash that whole booth when I go to this baby show. That is so tight-lipped that for a lactation person, when I get babies that are used to being at those bottles, it's very difficult for me to get them back to breast. But yes, it is totally possible. And yes, it is totally possible to exclusively breastfeed your babies when it comes to twinnies. However, I would keep at minimum 4 bottles a week in rotation. So you could breastfeed 98% of the time, but at least 4 bottles a week. Bottle feeding is a learned skill, and it's really easy for them to pick it up right out of the womb. It is very challenging. Bottle refusal is a specialty in the IBCLC community, and it is a pain in the petunia because babies, if they don't get used to drinking out of a bottle, if you just randomly at 4 months, when you go back to work, you give a baby a bottle, you'd think that that baby was drinking gasoline. They're so repulsed by it. So if you get them used to having bottles in rotation, you will be fantastic. Do I have a guide for bottle sizes, when to use which? So Ashley, when you're buying bottles, I always say buy the biggest bottles. Don't register for like the little 2-ounce bottles and then the 4-ounce bottles. You're eventually going to be using an 8 or 9-ounce bottle. So don't spend money on the little starter bottles. Yes, you might be like, this is ridiculous. I'm only putting, 1 ounce into this one little bottle. Doesn't matter. Save the money, especially because people are being generous and buying you stuff in the beginning. If you register for all 2-ounce bottles, that's not going to last you very long. Basically, by the second month or the third month at the latest, your babies are going to comfortably be eating 3 ounces. So don't waste money on those tiny little bottles. You want to go right from the big guys. Once again, that's a singleton thing, right? So let the singletons buy 7,000 bottles. We need people to buy us stuff now because your kids are going to want to go to Harvard and they don't ever lower the tuition there. And they're both going to get in because you're a genius. So come on now. We know how that's happening. Okay. All right. So there we go. So Danny never took a bottle, not a single one. It won't happen if you start out in the beginning. And Danny, come on. You got me at your fingertips. So for real, we have nothing to worry about. But also for the record, even though I know Danny personally, all of you have me at your fingertips. Like that is a service of Twiniversity. I am the most accessible person in this industry. In fact, the Zoom ID is my cell phone number. So you all have my cell phone number. Like that's how much I am out there. So do babies be? I don't know what that means, but feel free to elaborate and I will get back to that. Okay, so now when I was talking about a feeding pillow, this is something that we do find is really, really effective. This is the only one. So it's not like you have 75 to choose from. The table for 2 is specifically made for bottle feeding your twinnies. It even has 2 holders right there for each baby bottle. And it also has a preemie insert. So if you do have babies that are on the more petite side of the universe, they do have these preemie snugglers that go in this. But this is not a place to sleep. This is a place to relax and a place to feed. Your baby should never be left unattended in this feeding pillow. But for my families that are exclusively bottle feeding, this is the way to go. And Heather, I totally hear what you're saying about that. This is one of the most pricey items. It's going to be as expensive as an entire crib. So that is going to be up to you. You could also work with your local twin parenting community and see if there's one that somebody could loan you for a little bit. But yeah, absolutely. But as far as the cost versus worth, if you're thinking that you are going to feed your babies 8 times a day via a bottle, and you're looking at doing that for at least the first 6 months before they're holding their own bottle, also depending on prematurity and strength, and there's a lot of things that go into it, but this is something that's going to be well used and well loved. So it should be something that should be considered to be added to your registry. And yes, once again, it can be added with my registry. So that's another way that's so simple. But the reason why that table is so expensive, because we've spoken to them before, is because the shipping on it is so expensive, because it is a solid foam-filled pillow. So it's very structured to provide the correct angle for your twinnies to be fed in. So it is substantial. It's buying a piece of furniture. So this is no different than if you bought yourself a living room chair, except that it's only going to be used while you're feeding your babies. Okay. So how many bottles to buy if you're planning on doing both breastfeeding and bottle feeding? I would have at least 8 bottles in the house to do a combination of both. But I mean, also, you may want to register and have people get you the 16 bottles because we do not know what's going to happen. Right. And so, depending on where you registered, like let's say you registered for all your Dr. Brown's bottles at Target, as long as that box was unopened, you could take it back and return them. So register for more than you need and then have the flexibility to return some stuff. Bottles are one of the like interesting things, like we never really know. Right. Because as a breastfeeding professional, I want to encourage you to use as little bottles as possible. But then also, like as a twin person and a regular human, we know that you may not want to exclusively breastfeed both twinnies every single time. You might want to breastfeed one baby at a time and have your partner give the baby a bottle and then swap out to just not be overwhelmed. Right. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but also when you're buying the bottles, also be cognizant of the nipple size that you're buying. So if you're specifically looking at Dr. Brown's, it actually starts at a P, which is a preemie level nipple, and then it goes to a T for transitional, which is a little bit faster, even before you get to a level 1. If you're going to be doing a combination of breastfeeding and bottle feeding, I would stay either with a level T, P, or 1. I would never go above it. We always want the match to be of the bottle to the flow of your milk. Okay. So don't don't go to level 2, even if all your friends are like, oh, we were at level 2 by 2 months and this is what we did. Good for them. That's not my babies. So do not tell me what to do. But just know that there are different level nipple sizes based on the strength of the flow that your babies are capable of handling. Okay. All right. I feel like I have another game coming up soon. All right. So now out and about. All right. Let's talk about this because I know that we could sit here and we could talk about double strollers. I could talk about double strollers confidently. I'm going to say 6 hours straight. I think I could do a 6-hour TED talk on double strollers because there are so many different double strollers that are out there. Now, 80 bazillion years ago, I was not as stressed because the market was not flooded the way that it is now. However, now we have so many different types, including, is it a tandem? Is it a side by side? Is it, a travel system? There are so many different strollers that are out there, but let's talk about a few. So one of the ones that I think everybody should start out for, this is not just a Twiniversity thing, this predates Twiniversity, but starting out with a double snap and go seems to be the best thing to do because we all know you cannot be discharged from a hospital until your babies pass what's called a car seat test to make sure that when they're in that position that they have total of accessibility to a beautiful trachea and they're going to breathe wonderfully and they're not going to collapse on themselves. So we already know that we have to have our car seats, right? Now, if you buy a stroller, depending on the stroller, you may need to get very specific car seats for that specific stroller. If I told you there's just a generic metal frame that could accommodate 99% of the car seats out there and it's under $200, it's a no-brainer because you also don't know how you want to use your stroller. Right now, you're saying, well, I'm so worried. I'm going to get an inline stroller, which means that one baby's above the other. I may want to, a side by side later. Listen, while you're still figuring that out, just get one of these guys. And once again, you could find these secondhand too. This is something that I probably would buy new because I worry a little bit more about the safety of the straps, but it is a very cost-effective item. And you'll also notice that anything that we talk about Twiniversity, if it is a higher price, it's got to have the worth of it to match. So like if it's expensive, it's like because you're getting what you pay for. When it comes to this, you're paying a low price, but you're actually getting significantly more practicality and use. So this is what I started out with. It's what I would say 90% of our twin families, and I am not exaggerating. I feel like this is Baby Trend's bread and butter, is they make just a really extraordinary product because it's bare bones. We're taking any car seat that we have and we're putting these kiddos in it and we're on the go and it folds up to next to nothing. So if you live in a tiny little environment like me, it's always beneficial to have something that's like it folds into nothing. And if you even get stressed, you could buy a single one of these because you may have a baby that has a higher medical need that may have to go back and forth to the doctor a little bit more. And if you live in a walking city like I do, just putting the baby, carrying the car seat with the baby in it, with my diaper bag, New York City blocks, that was too much for me. So we actually had a single version of this and a double version of this. But I absolutely love the Baby Trend Double Snap and Go. If they ever stop making this, I would be devastated. And they're the only ones that make it, by the way. So there's no other company, which, by the way, we've even said, like, how come nobody else does it? Nobody else has an interest because, once again, multiples are 3% of the population. So companies don't give a crap about us. Like, we have to just be thankful for the people that did throw us some scraps. And Baby Trend throws us significantly more than scraps. They've been taking care of twin families for a really, really long time. So these are the strollers that I'm talking about. So just to run it down and why it could be so overwhelming to pick one. So what it is if you look at, we're going to go from like your screen, you should be seeing the same thing that I am. So the upper left, that's going to be a side-by-side umbrella stroller, and that's going to fold up like an accordion. And then next to that, that's a side-by-side, more traditional style stroller, and it's going to fold up like a book, not like an umbrella. Then the one underneath that, that's going to be an inline stroller or a tandem stroller, but you'll see that the rear seat is a little bit higher than the front seat. But when it comes to anything that's inline, if it was not made for two at a time, it is not a twin stroller. So knock, 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 up a baby. That Vista is not a twin stroller. If my babies cannot wear hard-soled shoes and both recline at the same time, it is not a twin stroller. So this is what I've been fighting for 15 years. At least. My kids are going to be 20. So let's say I went to my first ABC when they were 3. So yeah, 18 years I've been fighting with stroller companies because everybody's like, oh, you're Nat from Twiniversity? We have a new double stroller. You're going to love it. Dude, that's not a twin stroller. Why are you trying to tell my people that's a twin stroller? We can't take a nap. And so they're like, no, 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 watch. Okay, I'll watch. So me and Amanda go and we fight with every single stroller company because they're like, oh, we got one for you, Nat. You're going to be so excited. No, we're not. We're literally not excited. You literally just made a singleton stroller that you're trying to put 2 babies into at once. You can't Jedi mind trick us. So know that when it comes to a tandem stroller, one of the true ones, like Contours makes a true tandem, Baby Trend makes a true tandem, but like the Up a Baby, that's not a tandem, guys. It's not. You could buy it if you love it. And once again, remember, my word is not law because I don't want you guys getting mad at me when I don't like specific products. But I don't like specific products because I feel like they're trying to like get one over on us. So the same thing happened a while ago with the donkey. The way that the donkey was made really wasn't conducive to twin families. It's gotten significantly better. But could I justifiably say, yeah, go spend $2,000 on a stroller? Kids, we all know, well, right now it's going to be a little bit difficult, but a lot of us could buy $2,000 cars in our area that are used, that are still functioning. So just think about the cost versus worth. All of these on here, I have nothing against them. I would buy any single one of these, but we got the tandem. Then next to it, you have a wagon. Could you use a wagon out of the womb? No, you cannot use a wagon out of the womb. But if you have older kids and your 20s, you're going to definitely want a wagon. So the Larktail Quad holds 4 kids, 4 freaking kids. It's like a nursery school that you take throughout the neighborhood. It is an extraordinary vehicle that I have. That's my number one thing. Like if I could buy anything, like if I could have something for my 20s that is available now that wasn't then, it's that wagon. Hands down, one of my faves. Underneath that, we have a jogging stroller. Should you buy a jogging stroller? Do you jog? Because that's who should be buying a jogging stroller. Because when I see people that are buying jogging strollers, and I'm not criticizing, but the problem with the jogging stroller is when you're going up and down a curb, when it has the single wheel in front, when I'm jacking it up and my back wheels are off the floor, I only have the stability of that single wheel in front. That poses a danger if I have feral children in Disney, okay, which is how I learned because I rented a stroller in Disney for the first time. I think my 20s were 3 and one is a little feral. I got to be honest, my boy. So we went there and they spilled right out. Yes, they should have been locked in. Please, I know I'm telling you because don't do as I say, do better than I did. Okay, that's how Twiniversity exists, just so that you could be better than I was. But know that when you don't have that stability, it really kind of screws everything up. And if you're not a real jogger, don't buy a jogging stroller. And then finally, I would definitely buy a single stroller. There are going to be times when you're going to want to just go out with one child. Just because they're born as a set doesn't mean they have to live 24/7 as a set. So having the flexibility to have one single or even two singles, that's great. There have been many companies who have tried to make stroller attachments so we could attach two singles. They have all sucked royally. They have all malfunctioned horribly. Nobody made it. Maybe this year is going to be the year. I am not very hopeful because once again, 3% of the population, nobody's putting in the research and development behind products because we're just twins, guys. So yeah, I don't see us like that, but yeah. So I push singletons on a rough. So now, Heather, if you're going to be pushing on gravel, well, yes, I say it might be more beneficial to have like a jogging stroller, but I would challenge you and say that the ease of that pushing on the gravel wasn't the three wheels, it was the air tires. Because every jogging stroller has air tires. So if you want to look at strollers that have tires like that, you could look at the Valco Twin Tri-Mode, or you could look at the Bumble Ride Indy Twin. Both have air tires. And so it'll give you that ease of what you had with the jogging stroller, but give you the solidness of having four wheels on the ground all the time. Okay. Yeah. The joggings are always an interesting conversation, but if you're a real jogger, then you're a real jogger. All right, kiddos. So if you have not hated this time that we've spent together, and that's basically all I strive for, is you just not hate it. So my bar is very low for you guys, but know that if you want the whole Twiniversity class, we got it right now. So literally you could scan it. It makes just sense to continue with your educational journey, right? So it's 103 videos. You watch it at your pace. And I strongly encourage you to watch them with your partner. Many of the Twiniversity classes were not made for you as one person. It was made for you as a set. Because raising twins is not an independent sport. You should have a team, be it your life partner, be it your mother, be it your sister, be it a paid person. I do not care. But this is not something that you should do independently. So Twiniversity classes are really meant to be watched as a family. There is no vulgarity in there as much as I remember. So if you have littles running around the house, you should be fine. I've even really watched my words today because I never know who's lurking around because you guys didn't put your cameras on. Otherwise, I would have been pretty vulgar. So you guys missed it. And then this is what is in the Expecting Twins class. So we got 103 videos to watch at your pace. So we have 16 videos of families just talking about their own experiences, which I like because I want you to know that there is more than one way to do things. And my way is not the only way. Okay. So we have 16 families that talk about that. We have an entire twin pregnancy digital journal that was my passion project that I made myself, that I loved it. And we have 17 pages of worksheets for you guys to just get organized and a little bit more on point. So I got another question from Bryn. Besides a wagon, any stroller recommendation for the twins and a toddler? So you could look at the Juvie. So the Juvie Big Caboose could accommodate twins plus one. And then Baby Trend also makes one. Amanda, I don't remember what it's called. It was the one that Kylie, I believe, did the review for. So if you could find that.
Sit and stand. The
sit
Baby
and stand.
Trend sit and stand. Yep.
But is it a double sit and stand or is it just their standard sit and stand?
I believe it's a standard, and then I think you might be able to add on like a board.
Yeah, the boogie board. Well, no, I think it had a bench in the back, but definitely the Juvie Big Caboose. Like that's a definite one. So look at that one. So Bryn, check that out first. But the Juvie Big Caboose, you could accommodate 2 car seats, plus it has the stroller in the back. The other one that you could look at is the Valco Twin Tri-Mode has a Joey seat. So you can buy an additional seat that the toddler would sit in, and then the twinnies would sit in the main seat. And I think that there's also another one. Hold on. There's the Valco.
Zoe.
And the Zoe Trio. But the Zoe Trio, I don't think starts at birth. So the Zoe Trio, I think, goes from 6 months up. So take a look at those, Bryn, and let us know if you like what you think, honestly. And if anybody knows any other Trio strollers, please do email us at community@twiniversity.com or text me. It's very simple. Okay, so I cannot tell you enough, and I really do mean it. And know that at Twiniversity, we have not sold out yet. We specifically seek out our partners that are going to bring the most worth to you guys. So Amanda could tell you, and even Danny, my reputation stands pretty good. Like I genuinely love my registry, and we had been trying to work with them for years before we actually convinced them. So know that you could add our classes to there, but I would recommend that you take those classes as soon as possible. So they're really meant to be taken between 24 and 30 weeks of your pregnancy if there was a window. So definitely check that out. But yes, you can. And I'm genuinely obsessed. I've built so many baby registries. All right, are you ready for another game? This is our final game of the day. This is a good one. Okay. So this is going to be for another Starbucks gift card or whatever you could get. Amanda, you probably don't even remember, but I thank you for keeping those in. All right. Guys, who is not the twin parents? Who out of these celebrities does not have twins? Not who does not. Please let me put my music on. All right, guys. Who does not have twins? And there may be multiple answers. You guys are picking up on this. Okay. I'm giving you one more go around. Put all your letters. If you think it's more than one, put all your letters in at once. Who is it going to be? And I'm surprised. Do you guys even know who some of these people are? That's always the question. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm picking a random winner. Literally. Could you, Amanda, do you want to pick it? I'm just going to scroll and make my mouse land on it. All right. I'm scrolling, literally scrolling, and my mouse is on Felicia. You are the winner. Yes. That Kardashian doesn't have twinnies. Emma Stone does not have twinnies. And Ashton Kutcher, that was the trick one because he is a twin, but he does not have twins. It is absolutely fascinating. And if you know Nick Cannon, I feel like he's got about 45 sets of twinnies by now. I think maybe he's on his 19th set of twins. So feel free to fact check me on that. I think we're getting close. And then Al Pacino is number C. If you guys watched Christmas Vacation, the mom who plays Ellen Griswold in all the vacation movies, she's who is the mother of his twinnies. Julia Roberts, of course, ruined my year that I had my twinnies because she was in the tabloids where I wasn't, which is great. So she had her twinnies then. And of course, George Clooney is one of my favorite because he was the guy that got me to speak to people at Harper's Bazaar and not in an ironic way. That was the one funny, really dumb interview that I've ever done. But yeah, there are plenty of twin families out there and you are just going to be another one. And it is really, really exciting. So guys, thank you so much. So much. I know we went a teeny bit over time. I hope that thank you so much for hanging with me, but know that everything that we have here at Twiniversity, it's not just these. And we do have a class pretty much every Monday. So we have our registry event, which is this. We have our boob camp coming up. We have our twins delivery day that we have coming up. We always do a twin sleep school. So pretty much if you want to put Mondays on your calendar at 1:00 Eastern time, we usually have something going on. So until then, Amanda, what's our next one coming up?
Boot camp.
Boot camp. So boot camp's next
week? On the
week?
31st.
The 31st. Okay. So on March 31st, we have our Twiniversity boot camp. So make sure you go and register. These classes are 100% free just to get you started. And I am, as always, floored that you guys joined us. And I am really, really, really excited. But know that this will be on YouTube. You'll get a link by the end of the day. Amanda or I will send it to you, but you could rewatch this entire event. And sincerely, is that like, I don't even know what more we could do for you, but if you have any more questions, slap them up. If not, guys, see you later, alligators. Danny, text me later, please, because this was a spoiler alert for me and I'm really excited now and I like it. I
haven't announced it yet. I've been like so paranoid.
How many weeks are you now?
13, but I've been pregnant with twins before and
okay.
I ended up with a singleton, so there was like that fear, but I feel like we get scanned every week. Everything looks good, but
listen, there's no reason not to be hopeful. And remember, the cortisol goes to the babies, so don't be stressed. You have to stay calm, and that's not just for Danny, but anybody that's here. You have to fake it till you make it. And no matter what has happened yesterday, that was yesterday. That is not today. Today is a new day and you stay positive until something happens, but nothing is going to happen. We'll worry about it as it comes.
I needed to hear that.
Oh no, Danny, you're going to see what I really do for a living now. Mwah, mwah.
Well, right when I found out immediately, my registry was built for a singleton. The second I got a positive pregnancy test, I know exactly what I want. And then we found out about twins and I was like, oh my God, like I don't even know where to begin. I ran to your website. I started downloading everything. Like it was because I was like, I know exactly where to go. Like I've said so many twin moms to you. I was like, I know exactly where I need to go. So I'll be on all your classes, but
Please do. It's going to make my universe. And then just genuinely, Danny, like, although you are special, everybody, like anybody could call or text me. Wait, Caitlin had a question. She said, do I see the Passy? Yes, I've seen the Passy. I actually have some families currently using it. So I'm getting my own market research on it. People have been pretty satisfied with it, but I don't love the way that it's built, but if they love it and know that any products at Twiniversity, they go through an independent kind of thing that we do with our own twin families, because I don't know why I don't believe anybody but our own people. That's just how I roll. But just know that I'm right in the middle of it now. We had a talk about it last Thursday. This new family that I'm working with, they're going to use it. And so we'll see how it goes. But Caitlin, right now, I don't have enough data to confidently say that, yes, it's a thumbs up or no, it's a thumbs down. So just know that. Okay, good. Oh, good. Oh, Danny, you got a lot of good stuff coming up. And so I'll see you in May.
I'll see you in May. I'll come on more this was so helpful, like so helpful.
Oh,
So
good.
more of your once I announce, I could tell people too where
Yeah,
I'm getting
listen,
information
girl,
from.
we will do whatever it is that will make your life easier. Any way that I could help you, let me know. This
Okay, I
is what we
appreciate
do.
it.
And I'm glad that not a lot of people in our world get to actually see what I do. Everybody knows kind of in theory what I do, but you're going to see exactly what I'm all about. And you'll see why I'm so nuts, because I do fight with everybody to make sure that our products are always the best for our families.
Well, I appreciate it. I know you're the person to come to. I've seen you at the show. Everyone knows you. I knew you were gonna say Larktail because you're a huge fan of
I am, because
Larktail.
it's built like
Yeah.
like nothing else is built. And so when companies like when Mark made that, right? So he had been a Baby Trend for a while, like he was on the way. They would only let, not Baby Trend, he was at Baby Jogger. There's companies that won't let engineers do what they want. And so he was an engineer that finally just did what he wanted. And it really was the better mousetrap, because you look at Wonderfold and you look at all the other wagons, nothing is the same structure. And our kids are horrible sometimes. And so we have to take into consideration how things are going to tip, how things are going to pull, how things are going to push. And dad to dad, he just did an extraordinary job. So I am partial to companies that make things for us. So it doesn't hurt that I don't, I love them too.
Yeah, we'll have to spend some time at ABC because it's going to be interesting, like what I'm looking for now.
Yeah.
Because it's just so different than things that I've been looking for in the past. So like
I thought you were just coming to spy on me. I was cool with that too.
I knew.
I didn't know.
Like,
I really don't care.
She's thinking I'm getting info for some videos because I have not.
No, but Danny, understand, everybody does. Like if that happened, and I never get mad at it, because if at the end of the day it could better the life of a parent, I don't care who gets the information that I have.
Yeah, no, it's for me.
Oh, I'm so excited. But yeah, I'm not a big gatekeeper. So anything that I have, anything that I could do,
there's
you let me
not
know.
a lot of resources. Like moms will reach out, like, what do you think I should get for twins? And I'm like, I'm not the person to come to. Like, I haven't done that much research because again, the majority of people who are coming to me for baby products are singletons. So I'm like, but I have a resource for you. Go follow her on Instagram. I just send them to you because I'm like, okay, what are the chances I'm ever going to need to talk about like twins? Well, now I'm like, okay, now I guess I'll be sharing the journey and the nursing and that's like, I'm paranoid about that because my kids never took bottles. And I'm like, I don't want to have the stress of but I was always a single mom. Now I have a husband. So I'm like, he will.
I was thinking about that.
You know what I mean? Like, and before it was like, I never gave bottles because like, why? Like, and now, but I hated it. I was strapped. I couldn't go to the nail salon, like even for 30 minutes. Like I couldn't do anything. And I like really want to try the bottle thing.
Yeah, we'll do it. Danny, we'll do it. We'll come up with a plan. We'll come up with a schedule. We'll do whatever you feel comfortable, what your hubs feels comfortable with, what the big kids like. Everybody's involved. But seriously, honestly, if it wasn't for you, I would have packed totally inappropriately for Alaska when I went. So that was good timing.
Oh my
So
gosh.
secretly, I owe you a favor
Did you
anyway.
did you have so much fun?
Oh my God. It was weird though. I mean, taking like a New York City girl and let's slap me where eagles are like pigeons. And I'm like, where am I right now?
Yeah.
That
Did you get to go to all your ports?
No, we didn't. We had a medical emergency, so we missed a glacier. And then everybody was complaining, and everybody's like, "I can't believe it." I'm like, somebody was dying. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll see a glacier at some other time, or I'll watch it on the National Geographic. Let's have this human live. Like everybody needs to calm down.
Well, and it's always like most cruises, you miss like one. You
Yeah.
kind of have to put it like something could happen. We missed a port too, but it's just like that's part of the
Yeah,
fun.
that's part of
You
it.
know.
What are you gonna do?
So
What are you gonna
yeah,
do?
like
Oh,
no more cruises, no more vacations. Like at first, I was like, we're still gonna travel,
Yeah.
baby wear. I got a 5-year-old. Now I'm like, okay, no, pack those passports up. We're doing
oh my
things at
God, I
home.
didn't finish